are way larger brushes than me, for example. And I wonder what your thought process is. This is a good one right here. We can jump in on this. That's a good one. Probably need more water in this wet palette. All right, so I got some paper down here. No big deal. Now, I've got this pewter wizard person who's been painted several times throughout the years, in different capacities for different demonstrations. Okay, so let's just say you're gonna start from scratch. You're brand new, right? Let me get a paper towel. Oh, come on. Where are my paper towels at? There we go. Slum, I prime everything with fucking spray paint, dog. Like, I mean, but you can use any primer you want. It's just that I feel like pewter resin specifically like spray paint more. But let's say all you have is brush on primer. Okay. So I've got here's some dark neutral polyurethane primer right here. Dark neutral gray. So right at the gate, you know, we're talking basics, right? This question is about seemingly basic shit, right? So let's say again, we don't have an airbrush, none of that shit. Basics. So we're gonna have to put this primer down on this model. Now, primer, you want it to be as not thinned out as possible, okay? So you also want a big brush, right? Because we want coverage. We want to be able to consistently cover this model. And so my thought process on brushes is you see how like this is a big ass brush right here, right? Big number 4. Okay. Now, but this is like a linear tool. Now, in very small circumstances, it has a radial burst quality to it, right? If we take some water, you see, I'm gonna take a little bit of this just to color the water. So in small applications, if I'm stippling, it is like a round dispersal, right? But most of the time, this brush is going to do more line work, right? More linear, right? But even if you like use all the brush, you're making a big rectangle, right? So the stippling technique, like the sewing machine stroke, even with a big brush like this, isn't doing as big surface as you think it is, okay? So one of my favorite tools for laying down like a primer is a big flat round makeup brush or dry brush like this, because this thing is innately radial at all times, right? So raw dog primer, light brush pressure, you should be able to spread it out pretty easily. And now there's a lot of paint on this model, right? People are like, oh no, just spread it out, take your time. Use light brush pressure, jam it in there, and just kind of work the wet edge, right? See, I've got one big edge painted, and I'm just going to rotate the model off this wet edge and kind of just continue. And I'm doing just these heart pulls, right? Pulling it to my body, pulling it to my heart. And just light brush pressure, stipple it in, jam it in those recesses, work off the same wet edge, and work your way around the model until no paint's coming off the brush, right? And then come back to the other wet edge, and you'll realize there's plenty of paint already on the model. You just have to spread it out, right? So I'm working off that wet edge and kind of connecting the two wet edges together, you see? Using a nice big round soft dry brush, or it could be a makeup brush from Sephora or something like that. But you see we've got a really easy primer lay down here, And this will work right over metal, right over plastic, whatever you want. So just take your time, smooth it out, make sure there's no brush strokes, etc. There you go. So now she's primed dark neutral gray. Azrael, what's up, brother? 17 months back to back. What a legend. We rinse the brush off. Some strongman loving chat from a boy. So now that that primer is drying, you've got several ways you can tackle this. Again, let's say you're a beginner and you see all these products on the shelf. Contrast paints, quick paints, all this shit, right? And they promise you skill in a bottle, right? All this stuff. Now, here's the thing. Like, skill doesn't really exist in my opinion. Like, this concept of, like, this dude, he's just natural. He's skilled. Like, motherfucker, nobody was born. Like, oh, shit, look how tight I am at painting. I mean, okay, there may be some people. Not me. Fuck no. Skill is just an accumulation of techniques and practice. Like, and so if you're just kind of shooting in the dark, try to figure things out, that could take you years. But if you know what needs to happen, you can technically approach it or procedurally approach it. Okay, and that's where, like, my classes, that's what they're about. Is like the technique, the technical, the tradesmanship of it. Break it down to procedures. So, let's say GW contrast paints. You guys know how I feel about those. Don't buy them. Especially if you're a beginner. Every paint, since paint was invented, does what contrast paint does. It's that simple. It's not. It's literally always been the case. Okay? So, if we were going to take this to, like, a rapid deployment color situation, what we need to do is pre-highlight it or establish a value paint job. Okay? Now, basics. These are basics. Okay? So, let me throw a little bold titanium white down. And Cajun Beauty, if you're ever talking to me while I'm painting, make sure to @ me. Like, see how Azrael has added me? It highlights on my screen because I don't typically read things that aren't highlighted because of crosstalk. So here's some white, just pure white, not even primer. Just right there. Okay. Gucci the first, hey there, just want to thank you. Finished my first model, and thanks to you and others, tutorials and videos, it looks like amazing. That makes me happy. Throw it up in our whip session, ! Whip. We got a Discord server. I'd love to see it here in a little bit. So, values are grayscale, right? If you're in art class, at some point, what they made you do is something like this, right? They made you do like a slider. And what they're going to ask you to do is, like, make several versions of this slider that fade more or less gradual, right? So we've got like a nice clean transition here. This slider can also be literally this. It can be like this abrupt, right? How you determine this? It's like super dark, then suddenly it's mid-tone, then super bright, right? The slider's totally up to you, but these are values. Values are typically what inform a hue in some capacity. Now, if it's black and white, pure value, that's not always great for the hue, right? Because there's this other concept called desaturation. Desaturation occurs to a color when that value infusion is based on the grayscale, like on the black and white. You can make things darker and brighter. You can say, like, this is a darker valued red if you want. There's other words for it, but it gets very unnecessarily complex. Things need to be darker and things need to be brighter. If you solely rely on black and white, colors tend to get desaturated. So what, like, things like contrast paints are promising you is that they maintain saturation. So they kind of like oversaturate them to do that. Okay. So you can use inks to achieve the same result, whatever. But what we want is we want to establish a value workup based solely on grayscale. This is beginner shit, right? So what we're going to do is dry brush. So I've got this dry brush laid out. I'm going to take some of this white, and this is a beginner, baby's first technique. Take some of this white, take some of this gray, and let's like think about our slider, and let's make something a little bit brighter than what we have. See? You're going to work that into the brush, and it's called dry brushing for a reason. It's high opacity and low moisture. So you're going to remove all the excess moisture with your paper towel, including the pigment. Including the medium that the pigment is suspended in. So what's left on our brush is literally just pigment. It's high opacity. And now what we're able to do is drag this brush along this model, linear, like top down, because that's where I want my highlights. Light brush pressure. And what it's going to do is just skitter across the tops of things. You see this? And just leave a little highlight behind. Sometimes you're going to have to get creative, like here on this robe. I'm going to just turn it and just skirt the tops of these things. See? Just top down, top down. We're not scrubbing it in. Light brush pressure, you see? But mostly I'm trying to establish, saying like there's light above her, and it's being dragged down. Like I said, that's not always possible, so you're going to have to like kind of just cheat sometimes, like her hair up here. Just going to drag it across the grain of her hair threads on this wizard sleeve. Kind of just against the grain there. There. Same thing against the grain here. You see it's leaving behind a sense of depth. Tops of things are getting bright, bottom of things are still dark. So contrast is kind of what we're always looking for, and contrast is simply making the dark things darker and the bright things brighter. Really simple way to think about it. Okay? So I'm just ramping it up. And now she's highly visible, right? So let's grab more white. Because you see, this is much brighter than that, but you see, like, they're not even close to as bright as it can be. So I'm going to steal some of this again. So I'm kind of splitting the difference. Kind of respecting the value train. Now let's be real respectful. Let's get as much of that paint off the brush as we can. And you can do this with colors too. It doesn't have to be grayscale. But this is basics. Is that like a zenithal technique, Cajun Beauty? That fucking term gets thrown around a lot. Like, just get that shit out of your head. Zenithal means from the zenith, the top down. That's it. It's not a technique. It's a lighting source, right? It's dumb. People's like, oh, zenithal. Dog, what I'm doing is called value painting or pre-highlighting. I'm establishing highlights before we paint it. Pre-established. I am sort of making it zenithal, right? Where I said it's like top down. But how many times did I change the orientation of the model and say, but I can't do that here? So like we just we just went against the grain in places where like there'd be no benefit to the zenith. So what we're doing isn't so much about light as contrast. Contrast is simply make the tops of things brighter and the bottoms of things darker, which is why, here we're doing a zenithal highlight, right? To the subject, saying that there's light up here, right? But the second I go like this, and I'm just making the tops of things brighter. It's just about contrast, about making it so you can see things. I'm just making the tops of this nut curtain visible, right? That's it. I'm just making the tops of things, the edges. See? Just light brush pressure. Wizard sleeve. Anything I can go against the grain on. Her hair. Slightly against the grain on her hair. Like, fuck light. Light doesn't matter. All that matters is you can see things. So now with a second pass of brighter values, even more contrast has appeared. The image is getting sharper, right? Because now it's getting suddenly brighter and brighter and brighter. But we have to be careful not to just keep wiping out our highlights exactly as we're doing them. So I'm going to take that brush, put it down, get a smaller brush. This one has metal flakes on it, so let me just rinse it off real quick. Not a problem. Just I was doing something with it yesterday. Khalees, what's up, brother? So let me just get some of this bronze off of this brush. Might have to use some brush soap, we'll see. So this is a smaller makeup brush, right? Smaller dry brush. This is Monument Hobbies. Just try to get some of this dirty paint off of it from yesterday. There's still some in there. Sometimes what I'll do is just take my squirt bottle and just kind of like pressure wash it. There's a lot in the ferrule, but I think the bristles are mostly okay. No, they're not. So just take a second to do a little brush maintenance. This is basic too. So you should always have some brush soap in your game. I'm gonna use some right here to just get that metallic out of my bristles. See, the soap is breaking it up now. Using my hand. I'll put some clean water in the lid here. And even use some of this soap and kind of just turn it into like a nice little slurry. I do this with my dry brush. I wouldn't do it like this with my nice little sable brushes. Don't want a bunch of bronzy metallic flakes entering the white. And this is my only small dry brush, so bear with me. Just pressure washing again. Getting the soap off. Feeling it. All right, we're good. We're good. Toss that. Get a new paper towel out. Okay. Good enough, good enough, good enough. So now what we're going to do is get smaller with our brush because I want to be a little bit more selective, a little bit more targeted, okay? Make sure there's white worked in there. Get that excess moisture off. Light brush pressure and very selective, okay? So now I'm saying I want it brighter here, so let's just drag down there with light brush pressure. So I'm not repainting all that stuff we just did, you see? We're augmenting it. We're just leaving a little bit of white on the tips of things, on the sharpest angles. Kind of like edge highlighting. See? And now with the smaller brush, I'm able to get in the spots I wasn't able to before. Right? And we're sharpening the image even more. Now, white is important because anywhere our color or our hue is going to interact with white, it'll be like its truest, brightest self. Using the smaller brush lets me just be a little bit more selective. Let's get the book. So now we have a nice value paint job, okay? It's my boy Lyndon right there. Hobo edge highlighting, that's right, baby. Oh, is that Miffy? I missed Miffy. Miffy! The man, the myth, the legend. What's up, homie? Happy New Year, brother. So, now, this is where you don't need, this is where so this technique, this is 1,000 years old. Like, using grayscale to establish your values on a canvas and then washing paints over it, your hues over it, this is not new. There's not some new shit. Like, this is like how ancient painters painted. So, now what we can do is I can show you how all paint does the same thing. It's all about opacity. So now we spent a few short minutes getting our model like this, and now we want to put color down. Okay, we've got a nice bedding of grays and whites built up. Okay, so we should be able to make her look beautiful. So let's just say, what's like the deepest, hardest part to access right now? Right, probably the skin, because she's got a bunch of bare skin in there. So I'll start by trying to get the skin locked in, and then we'll work our way out. Okay, so now you're treating it like a coloring book. Now we are in full 3D coloring book mode. Okay, now for her skin, let's do a darker skin tone. Let's not just paint another whitey. I'm gonna be pretty basic about it too. I'm looking for some browns. Just any paint will do pretty much. What do I got here? Got some mahogany. See if I can get some of this out. There's some mahogany. Okay, let's put a little golden brown next to it. Let's just get a little bit more complex than that. You know. Now let's just take a little water. Okay. Let's take some of this mahogany, some of this golden brown. Let's come up with a nice mix of the two. Okay. So what I've done here is I've lowered the opacity of this paint substantially. Okay. But it's very wet on our brush. Okay. That wetness is what makes this a wash. This is a wash, semi-opaque and kind of wet. But I don't want it to be a wash because I want to be in control. So I'm going to take my brush, similar to dry brushing, almost like, damn, it's always all the same shit. We're going to now remove the water, and what's left behind is going to be just the pigment, but we've lowered the opacity. So whereas dry brushing is low moisture, high opacity, this is low moisture, low opacity. This is glazing. It's this easy. So what's left on my brush is a much more controlled version of what we laid down there. Now I should be able to target her skin. And I'm going to treat it like a coloring book. I'm going to use the tip of my brush, and I'm just going to do little lines back toward my body, rotating and just trying to get in there. Okay? And so it's not opaque. It's going to take some information from the dry brushing that we did, that value paint job. And you see we're just trying to work a wet edge. It's slightly moist. That's fine. I can control it. And we're just working back to our body. You see? Now she's got these straps, and again, we're doing a coloring book. We're having to stay inside the lines, just using the tip of my brush. I'm using the number 4, the big brush, because the big brush holds a lot of moisture in the barrel, and it's like an old fountain pen. I can basically keep pushing paint out of this brush for a long time, like this. And as long as I have a nice skinny tip like this, and I'm in control, I can get in there just fine, using the tip of my brush, moving the model to facilitate that. You see? Wow. JBZ, what up, player? Yo, it's my man Neil right there. What's up, homie? Now let's move over to her other leg, same way. Let's just deploy the skin tone. Rotate. Let's just get that tip in there. Trying my best not to get it on other parts. And now when I paint models, I don't always treat it this way. We are painting by numbers. So typically I say don't paint by numbers until you have to. But with this system that we're deploying, this is a paint by numbers system. Okay? So we've got her legs done. Now let's move up. I think she's got fabric here, fabric there. You can see her hands and her face. So let's just quickly hit the face. using the tip of our brush, rotate, just deploying that very low opacity, low moisture glaze that we built. You can see her ear right there. Let's get this ear. Let's get her hand. Let's get the other hand. And she's got a wizard fireball over here, so that'll be fun later. Fun little wizard. Sorceress. Wizardess. So now we've built a quick pass of skin. If you want to go reinforce it, you can just kind of double down anywhere. And every time you do this, you're generating more opacity. So the value information becomes less part of the paint job when you do this. Okay. That's fine. Stompy Jones. Basically, I'm using the biggest brush you can most of the time. Well, I basically only use a number 4 and like an 18-0. Like there's only 2 sizes I use. Zenwood, can you see your ears? Are they elf ears? They're round ears. They're not elf ears. So, we're going to stop there, and now we're going to move on. Okay, we've laid down that color. Now let's think about what would look great against brown. Pretty much anything does, so we can do anything we want. So let's do greens. Like that's a pretty classic, like a foresty kind of green. So here's just a stock green. This is literally just fucking green. Okay? Literally green. I'm going to take, again, some water, lower this opacity. Soak it into my bristles. It's pretty see-through. I might water it down even more. I might go even less. Okay. And again, let's just take some of that moisture off. And let's paint this right here. And we're just going to use the heart pull, and we're going to build a little line, and we're just going to work off the wet edge of that line as we move across the robe. See? And this green is very low opacity. It is going to decide to be darker where the dark gray is and brighter where the green is. That's simple. Okay? Let's move up here. Let's get this part of her fabric done with the same color. And the tip of our brush. Let's move up here. Let's get the... I don't know if the breastplate is fabric or not, but it looks like it's fabric and it's surrounded by some kind of frame. She's got a pendant. Theodric, thank you for the follow. Cletus, I know this was answered, but what model is this? I honestly don't remember what model this is. It was somebody we worked with like a year or so ago. I'm embarrassed, I can't remember. She's got armor right there. Let's get this part of the robe done too. So I'm gonna just load up with a little bit more moisture, just for easier spread here. Okay. So I just went back into the pile because I know with how long this robe is, we want a little moisture to kind of just work off the wet edge. So I'm using those heart pulls that I talked about, and we're just not letting it pull up anywhere. If you see any moisture kind of settling anywhere, just kind of move it and smooth it out. I may have to rotate into this position. So we're applying a little filter of green over our grayscale. See? And so as it dries, you see the highlights are still there, the shadows are still there, you see? Jimmy Norris, what up, brother? Aching for bacon, what's up, man? Thank you for the follow. So let's move to the wizard sleeves. Again, I'm using just a little bit more moisture just to have more spread. So now we're kind of more like a wash as far as technique goes, but the intent is not a wash. Wash's intent is make the dark stuff darker. Our intent is to filter the entire surface. So we're still glazing because the way we're trying to spread it out. And it's actually way too transparent to be a true wash. It's just kind of a wet glaze now. So this is kind of like what people use contrast paints for, right? From GW. This exact thing that every paint already does. See what I'm saying? Every paint already does this. You don't need some $8 gimmick. Just painting my numbers here, making sure the wizard robe looks good. Yep, we're looking good. Stompy Jones, isn't this what you normally call desaturated grandpa painting? Yeah. I went through the why it's desaturated during this lesson. Do you have a way to saturate it up? Yeah, you can saturate it up. It's just, you know, you just got to know like what the purpose of a technique you're using is. The purpose of this technique is to establish darks and lights ahead of time and make painting easier. Desaturation is just kind of with the territory. Desaturation doesn't mean it looks bad though, right? This green doesn't look bad, you know? Now, you can use any painting technique you want to like ramp something up. I'm going to make the skin more saturated for sure. Miffy, how do you feel about painting the Black Templars? I'm bored painting Kumans. Oh, dude, like Black Templar, so boring to paint, dude. So boring. So let's move to, now we're getting smaller and smaller, right? There's some armor here. Oh wait, there's a little bit of green right here I need to hit. So she's got armor. So let's figure out what another color would be. You know, brown goes with everything. Green is, you know, has a lot of options too. I feel like a nice purple, a nice purple moving toward pink would be great here. There's lots of red in purple, so it's going to complement. I mean, shit, and if you want to be lazy about it, look, check it out. I'll just put some dark blue down. Some fucking red, if I can get some out of here. I left this thing open the other day. Come on, you can get out. I see it. I see it in there. I left this open overnight, and I know it's just getting dried up. There's some red right there. I wonder if we're going to be able to make that much red work. Let's see. Get some red out. Let's put a drop of blue in there. Let's get more red. So make it like a nice red purple. I'm going to put a dollop of white in there. Touch of blue. You know what I'm gonna do too is that blue is really dark. So let's grab a little sky blue. I think this will be what we need. So there's a little sky blue right here, some straight up cyan pretty much. Let's lower the opacity, lower the moisture, and let's see if we can bring this new color in here and just scrape it along these details. Okay, painting by numbers. Now she's got like belt buckles and shit. We just want to be careful not to necessarily paint everything this color. She's got these shoulder pads I like. Just gonna reach in there very carefully. Just try to find the angle that lets me just use the tip of my brush the safest. Always take a second to move the model and find that position. Locking my hands together for more stability. Now there's not a lot of definition on these shoulder pads because a lot of our white dry brushing ended up there, and that's fine. We'll do something to build better contrast there. And I'm gonna do a kind of a second pass here, just kind of ramp up that opacity here. Maybe hit the armband too. Right there. We missed this one. Straight painted it green. And now we're getting into the stuff that's almost too small to benefit from this. So what I'm going to do is just grab a little of this blue. A little bit of this primer gray because I'm lazy. A little bit of white. And kind of make like a blue gray. And I'm not even really concerned about the opacity. It's way more opaque than we've been doing. Okay? So now I'm going to use this to just brush it lightly over these straps. She's got a scabbard with a knife in it. You know, I'm just going to paint the whole thing for now. So now I've abandoned the whole painting by numbers strategy. And I'm kind of just painting all these doodads with this one color. And then I'll come back over those and introduce more detail. She's got a potion in there. Shout out to Drunk Mystic. What's up, Drunk Mystic? You see a little bit of that potion right there. Now, she's got her sandals. I'll probably just use the same color for those right now. Be careful, I'm going to rotate, use the tip of my brush, kind of pull right back. Some of this may get on her skin, and I'll have to fix it later. Don't worry about it too much. There we go. PG Marmalade. What's up, man? So we're already almost done with this paint job. Like if we were approaching it from this standpoint of like, I just want to paint my models and I want them to be nice and smooth. We're already almost there. Okay. Now she has this cool book. That's going to be a focal point. You know, we can't slack on that. And she got this fireball. So let's focus down on the book first. Look, check this out. I'm gonna take some of this white, so a touch of this brown, and this golden brown. You see over here, making kind of like a parchment color. And I'm just gonna like literally water that down just a little bit. Take some of the moisture off, and we're just going to wash this parchment color right over that. So that, you know, it's semi-opaque, a little wet. But it's warm now. There's like some browns in it, you know, so it's got that like parchment feeling. Make sure from this viewing angle you can see the pages. Here. Rotate. Use the tip of your brush. Pull straight back here. Here. Now, the book itself, we can probably just go back to our stock brown. And just maybe just, you know, kind of like give it a way more opaque brown than her skin. Might have to do some highlighting and things like that. So that's way more opacity, way less moisture in the mix than what we did before. You see, we're just hitting that perimeter. Now we're just locking in these little details real quick. Make sure you get that shelf. The book is one of the more detailed parts of the model. So now we have a little book with pages. Okay. And I'm going to leave her hair white. I'm going to just say she's got white hair for now. Okay. Can she have black hair? If we want to paint her hair black, Zenwu, then you are into it for a more precise edge highlighting strategy. So as a beginner, I recommend like just don't do that. Just do something else. Now, here's how we're going to introduce an effect to the model real quick. Okay? So I'm going to say she has a fireball. I'm going to take yellow, transparent yellow, which is like yellow ink basically. And it's already grayscale. I'm just going to repaint the whole fireball with this highly saturated yellow. Not adding any moisture to it. Okay? Now, the problem is that yellow will get desaturated when gray is a part of it, which is what's going to happen here a little bit. So, she is a wizard, or a sorceress, so she has this awesome flame, so we definitely want to make sure we do our best to have her, like, superpower be observable and nice. So, let's just get it nice and yellow first. Kind of one big filter. Just don't, if you see it pulling up, just kind of, you know, dry it off as you're moving. So if you see it kind of getting inside the recesses, just kind of hit your paper towel every now and then, just pull them out. And we want to get like that nice yellow laid down first before we worry about anything else. Okay, so let that dry. Okay, just give it the time it needs to dry. NS Ogre, 57 months back to back. What's up, brother? Recoil, what's up, player? Zenwu. Would pink hair kind of tie the clothes? Pink hair would be great. What I'm saying, though, is before we do whip, I'm saying that, like, whatever your jam is, okay? Whatever your shit is. Play D&D with your friends. You know, you play a little, you know, board games, whatever. This technique right here, we're answering one of the questions from our list. This is like you don't own an airbrush, but you got some hobby paints. This strategy we just deployed is ready for your D&D game right now. See what I'm saying? She's got bright stuff being bright. She's got dark stuff being dark. The contrast factor is low. It's not even close to maxed out. She's got magic fire. Clean, smooth paint job. Ready to go. So now you can put her down and paint the next one. You see? Now, all of my techniques are not invalidation of the next in the sequence. So this, while you can treat as a tabletop battle-ready D&D piece right now, can also be looked at as the base coats for a truly amazing paint job. The strategies we use to get her like this could just be the stepping stones to the next stage. It's not invalidated. We didn't just lock in, okay, now this is the best we can do. That's not the case. It's a base coat if we want it to be, or it could be the end result if we want it to be. From a basic starter position, we used only a brush. We even primed the brusher on, and we just used literally low opacity paint and wash filters over her. Now, there's a lot more I'm going to do to her today. We have an hour and 30 minutes left in the show. I want to get, before we do a whip session, I want to get another infusion necessary, because what I was showing you here of how we were lowering our opacity in my curriculum, all of this is, every technique I use is defined by an opacity and a moisture content. So what we did was glazing, okay? The second I took water into the paint and lowered its opacity, then I took this and took the moisture off. Low opacity, low moisture, that's glazing. When I leave it more in this semi-opaque, deliberately wet state, this can be washing as a technique, right? Because now the moisture is going to fill all the recesses and shit, right? Less control, but there's a way to utilize this technique. Dogcat Jones, 2x multiplier. He's a true American hero. 46 bonus, yo dogs. And Dogcat Jones is one of my students. He knows. When we were dry brushing, we were using high opacity, low moisture. When we edge highlight, we also use high opacity, low moisture. Right? There's lots, I have definitions for all these terms. So what we did here is very good stuff. And if we want to take this to that next level, we still can. This is, like I said, this is just using these techniques to get here. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll show you a more advanced technique. Green leaf trace, dude. Do I even paint? Facts. Zenwu, this would be a good way to introduce a newbie to significant other as well, for sure. Toy Clan, thank you for the follow. So check this out, KG Beauty. So what I'm going to do is I want to kind of brute force this flame. I don't want to wait anymore. So what I'm going to do is a little brute force wet blending. I'm going to take some white, some yellow. Raw. I'm going to take it raw dog, okay? I'm going to lay it on hot and fucking heavy, okay? And don't even care. This is semi-opaque and no real extra moisture added. This is like right off the palette. Okay? Now I'm gonna rinse my brush off, take some of this yellow right back into it, and I'm gonna start using stippling motions to kind of tie this together. You see this? And I'm kind of cheating. I'm skipping steps. I'm rejecting our pre-highlight now and introducing instant opacity right now. And I'm using the stippling motion and the moisture ambient to get a bit of a capillary blend. And anywhere where I see too much paint pulling up, I'm just going to use the tip of my brush and kind of fix that. See? So I just skipped like 10 steps. And I deliberately made sure that the palm of her hand has more of the white in it, and it's a little brighter. You see? By using this brute force technique. And so that's not, and and like this, you see there's a stunning level of saturation there now, right? That is not present anywhere else in the model. And so we can keep her in this desaturation, make the fireball max saturation, and really draw the eye to her magic spell and do some pretty fun effects. which I will definitely do here. We'll continue this effect here. So I'm going to let that dry. Okay. It's a little orange out. This is transparent arms. Transparent orange, super vibrant. It's okay. So what we're going to do now that I have this fireball set up in mostly yellow is let's take some of the yellow, some of the orange, and what I'll do is maybe I'll dry it up on my paper towel, is I'll just send it in like this from the top. And so this is wet and low opacity. Okay? So this is kind of like, this is a wet glaze. So it's actually getting inside the recesses like a washwood, which is good. But now I'm going to kind of dry up the brush, grab some yellow, and I'm going to kind of just fight back the orange a little bit with some yellow. And so because I laid the white down first, then the yellow, and then the orange, and back to the yellow, what I'm able to do is maintain saturation. And because fire is maximum saturation. And fire is also mostly orange, not yellow. But it's important when you do an effect like this that the light source is the brightest position. So the hand is where the flame is coming from. So you got to make sure that's the bright position. So by keeping the paint a little wet, it's getting inside the recesses, creating some definition, some drama in there. And by sneaking some transparent yellow back in and just kind of stippling it in right here and kind of link them together. You see? Let that chill. Let that dry. Dogcat Jones, your main goal this week is to avoid scurvy. Is your wife out of town? Miffy, I said it live in the live chat on Mini Wargaming about Tal Railguns being OP, and I got the shit fucked out of me for hearing rumors. Tal Railguns OP? Pfft. We'll see. No wife this week, so I called it. I knew what you were saying. Okay, so now let's downgrade brush size, guys. Let's do a little bit higher opacity, higher contrast work, right? So now we got to make things pop, okay? So a really easy place to start would be maybe some of the green. Let's grab some of that green. Small brush. Let's grab some of the yellow. Yellow is a good way to maintain saturation with green. Pluck a little white in there because it's going to make it brighter. Put a little bit more yellow in there. It's going to make it vibrant again. And we can take this green, keep it high opacity and low moisture, and now we can use the edge of our brush and just brush it along these seams, utilizing the technique I call the tracer. We can use the heart pull strategy and just augment right here. So I'm using the tip of my brush and just drawing a line right there. Right there. And with just those 2-3 little fucking lines, look at the difference. See that? So now we're just introducing more sharpness. See that? It's the same green, the same white, a little bit of yellow, and it's just cling, 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 cling. We're going to rotate the model. We're maintaining high opacity, low moisture. We're going to just trace along this seam down here, running the side of our brush there. It's still a 101 technique, okay? Use the tip of our brush, and let's just do a quick heart pull back here. Rotate the model. Let's just hit that tracer technique right there, and you see we're just getting those sharpening effects. Pling, cling, cling. Again, right here, let's just scrape this seam right here, ride that rail, turn it in. Let's see if we can ride this inner rail right there. Now, see, she's got some fabric here. Let's go down a notch. Let's go back in time to a little bit darker version of this green. A little bit more respect. And let's just kind of draw along the fabric folds that are present. Give her a little bit more detail there. Like, these details do exist. They're just subtle, and I'm just accentuating. Let's move up to something a little brighter. Just add a little bit more white. And let's just hit these straps right there. Using the tip of my brush, using kind of a sewing machine stroke. Ping, ping. All right, let's rotate back here. Let's see if we can get some lines in right here too. Again, heart pull. Let's get a little bit whiter and more yellow. Rotate back. And we're using the same green. We're using high opacity though. We're not glazing this shit on. We are forcing it on. Let's go back in time a little bit darker, a little bit more respect right here. Now it's a little disrespectful. So all you have to do, go back to the original green and just kind of paint over that. Right? Just kind of knock it down a little bit. Just use your eyes. Move it up and down. Back to the green, back to the white. However much you need. See? We'll run the tracer right there. Let's run the heart pull right here. See that? Now we're making the bright things brighter. Rotate. Let's look for that tracer. Let's run some of that stock green in right here. I want to just kind of make sure that this doesn't just end abruptly. So let's go back to the green, all the way to green. Lower the opacity a little bit. Run it down right there. Blend that in. Tight. Super fast, super easy. Okay. Let's run back to this purple mix we made. I think I still got a little bit on the table. Let's do something interesting. Let's make it darker. Let's grab some of the blue. Okay. Semi-opaque and a little wet. And let's put some dark lines in there instead of highlights. Tip of my brush. We're going to just run it into this seam right here. You see that? Create a little border in there. Do you see like how simple that is? Contrast, instant contrast. Let's put some inside these runes. Stippling using the sewing machine stroke. Some heart pull right there inside the belt buckle. So now it's a lot easier to see that, right? Let's do some of this on her shoulder pads. Semi-opaque and just a little wet. Look for that heart pull position. There you go. She's got this armor plate right here. Let's kind of just get a little bit of that dark blue inset right there. Create a border. Now let's pop it out. Okay, let's grab some white. So there's a little bit of puddle still over here of that mix. Maybe let's grab some sky blue again. blue, some of that blue. Maybe I think we're gonna need a little bit of red here. Trying to get the rest of the red out of here. The dregs. Here we go. So some red. A little bit of white. So now let's just run back and just make the bright stuff brighter using the tracer technique right here. We're going to hold our breath, swing it from right to left, rotate the model, hit that seam using just the tip, just skirt that line. That's about all you can do there. So now you get to do heart pulls. Tip of the brush. Pull back to the heart. Now the tricky part is the inside. So this is the hardest part so far. See that?
The connection has been lost. All of the online networks are down.
And I'm messing it up a little bit, but that's okay.
It's been successfully implemented.
Let's use
The new era has begun.
some stippling tech right here.
Gate number 6 is being opened. All the weapons are
And we'll repair any mistakes in a second. Just play through for now.
77 is starting now. 10,
Put a little bit right there.
8,
Right there.
6, 5, 4,
Let's run back to the shoulders.
1. Get ready.
Sneak in. Just get a little highlight going in there. Now she's got this this doodad right here. Oh, that's blue. We'll come back to that. A heart pull right there. Get that little armband situation. Now, let's see if I can fix this this little those stray highlights a little bit. I'm gonna go back in time, and I'm gonna just gently run a kind of a repair line down the center, like that. Semi-opaque and just a little wet,
Neurofield activated.
like so.
Serial number deleted. The revolution is imminent. 10, 9, 8,
We get a little white.
7,
We get a little bit more opaque. Do a little bit of red.
3, 2,
Take some of that moisture off, and I'm really going to try to make sure we have a nice clean line right here. Try to get something going on in there. Not my best work, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of that dark gray and blue, and I'm just going to sharpen the dark part more. And I think I might even just flip the whole script inside of here. I feel like we just need to change the whole interior. I think that's holding us back. And this is a belt buckle right here. So I think we just need to kind of leave the spectrum. little repair work right here. We'll let that ride for now. Let's run some sky blue into our dark blue and some white. And let's make sure we have some nice sharp edges here. And with these smaller models like this, you start running into detail issues. Like there's definitely a lack of crisp edges. You kind of just have to make it up sometimes. Some of these D&D models are like that. Let's see if we can just get some subtle indicators here. Just some quick heart pulls. On those wraps. She's got these pouches. Let's see if we can just die on this hill of keeping them blue. And we're just kind of boxing them out. Now I like this blue. I might bring it back inside here. High opacity, low moisture, get those runes. Maybe get the belt buckle. There we go. Love minis. I'm confused. Fire is orange, then yellow. Yeah. The light source, the source of fire is like white, yellow, then orange. So her hand is what's making the fire. So that's going to be the yellowest, whitest part. The habit we have is making things brighter as they whisk away. That makes it not look correct. Look, and thanks for a reminder. I'll come back to that real quick. Check it out. Here's some white and yellow right here. Actually, let me rinse the brush. Here's some white and yellow. Oh my god, I keep putting blue in there by accident. What's going on here? Is blue's in my brush still? So white and yellow. So I'll take the high opacity, low moisture. And what I'll do is I'll come down here and I'll make it much brighter right there. See how it kind of just starts turning on, like someone's just literally turning a light on. You are my strangest addiction. I could say I'll quit without any conviction. Rinse the brush. Grab some of the straight yellow, and we can use this to just kind of smooth that connection out. Okay, and you want to maybe take some yellow white again, but more yellow this time, and less white. Get the tops of some of these little joints right here. Now, let's go back to orange Love Minis. And we're going to use the orange to get a little bit more righteous up here toward the tail. And I'm just kind of jamming it into the recesses. See that? Go back to the yellow. And now there's yellow back in the mix. Get inside some of these recesses. Stickman Shifty, thank you. Plex RP, thank you. Here's a little bit of like pure white. Right there. And if you want to get cute, you can take some like black or gray. And you can kind of just send some in right here. Like it's turning into smoke. At the tip. Just kind of thin down dark gray or black. A little bit of moisture. Wait. Force some orange into it. Like so. Too easy. Now, as far as, let me run back to the blue highlighting we were doing. Let's just see if I can knock this out real quick. God, is losing her shit. Why is she losing her shit? Is there like a delivery out there or some shit? No idea. Nobody's home. Bonet's at CES. Might have to go check on it. She's like literally not stopping. Oh my god, dog. Do I need to go check on Saren? Or did she finally stop as soon as I said I was going to go check on her? Let's get these little guys right here. See, we're just making little borders, little frames. Now, we can run back to the skin too, right? We have some brown still right here. A little bit of that golden brown. And we can use this to introduce some stronger highlights, like right there in the knees. Maybe a little bit, maybe that's a little too bright, too fast. Let's grab some more brown. Nope. Kind of splitting the difference with my eyes here. So like right there, just like a little shine on her shin. Toes. Let's get this calf right here. Thigh right there. I'm just trying to like introduce some fun saturation to the skin right there. By taking the same exact colors we just did and just kind of making more opacity occur, you know, by stacking it up. Exact same colors. A little bit on her face. Top of the nose, cheeks, brow ridge. Lips, chin. Anything that still looks a little brighter from our pre-highlight. Okay, let's pretend that the hand is not cupping a fireball for now. Just kind of paint it up real quick. She's using, again, high opacity, low moisture. I'm going to just bring an artificial highlight right here. Right there. Right there. Just kind of bring a little bit of definition. Wow. Just, we haven't even changed colors. It's just the same browns. Now the book, we can just take the pure white and you can just kind of crudely bring an edge to this parchment using the trace technique right there. I got a little sloppy right there. My hand bumped her flame. So I'm just going to repair it in real time by going back to the parchment color and just kind of drawing lines against the highlight I fucked up, like so. Too easy. Now we've got two more effects we can still do to keep this model looking fresh. Everything we've done is just opacity, manipulation, contrast. Okay, now we can paint our hair still, but also we have this book, so why don't we just take a quick second, grab that dark gray again, and we'll do some text. Get to the heart pull position, use the tip of your brush, use the sewing machine stroke. What you want to do is break up the lines, like Morse code. Like that, okay? And you don't want to just draw lines, you want to draw shitty lines on purpose. Say we're doing the sewing machine. Like so. Real easy, real basic. Adam Glitch, thank you for the follow, brother. So now if you want to make it a little fancier, you can take some like... We'll take some of this orange right here. And we'll do like a little square right here. And like the beginning of that like text block. Common in these like magic, fancy magic looking books. And I'll give it a little perimeter even. More of the dark gray. Like that. Take a little white if you want and do like a little dot in the center. Magic book. Fire chapter. Ray Pray, unbelievable. Remember the drama the last time I ordered a shirt from your store? This time it arrived under a week. Well, I think they just printed it in Canada now, dude. Yeah, like now, because they have more fulfillment options now. So, I don't know. Does this feel like a good basic approach to making a model tabletop and then better than tabletop? Now, if you are a super beginner, some of the things we're doing, I don't have time to break down. But if you stick with me, we always are gonna talk about heart pull strategy, tracer strategy, endlessly. Like it's a big part of our process. Freak Max, what's up, man? But what we can do here is we can do a little bit of bonus OSL, which is a 201 curriculum technique. So the fire is set up. We can take this orange, some water, lower the opacity like a ton. Okay. Dry it up like crazy. Get it real dry. And what we want to do is just sling this light. Okay. And you just want to brush it on, real gentle. Everywhere you think this fire is gonna hit, it's gonna hit her hand. It's gonna hit her wizard sleeve. It's gonna hit all this right here. So it's just like 3% opaque. It's gonna hit her hair right here. Probably gonna hit some of this. And you want to be real chill. Real low opacity. Don't push it. Let it just relax, okay? Let it dry. You want it to be almost like, wait, did I do anything? That's how you want it to look. Okay? And now when it dries, you have an opportunity to stack another sheet of opacity over it, okay? So we're going for round 2, okay? But I'm gonna focus it now a little bit. Down here. that hand. Let it chill. Take your time with this technique. Less is more. So we're using the orange because orange is like the light that fire shines. Rockstar Panis, this is a good refresher. Wish you had this lesson a year ago. I hear you, man. So again, you just subtly ramp the opacity up. The orange is not changed. The orange is progressively becoming less informed by what's under it. Maybe a little bit higher up on her hair. Zenwu, if you want some unintentional YouTube content, you could call this painting a Quandrix Pledge Mage for beginners. What? Okay. Maybe. I mean, I guess I can go through and edit it up. See, I'm just slowly pushing it. You see? Every time it dries, you have another chance to just kind of ramp it. Manadork? What's up, man? Zenwu, the schema chose matches established D&D school that also plays in Magic the Gathering. Well, fuck yeah. Hit it again, more opacity.
Angels sang out in an immaculate chorus.
Same orange.
The heavens descended
Okay.
from north.
I'm just pushing it subtly. Atomic Glitch, World Eater, thank you guys for the follows. And Atomic Glitch, thank you for the sub, homie. Catacombs and Creatures, the last couple minutes basically unlocked OSL for you in your brain. I'm glad, man. I teach it in my effects division of my 201 curriculum. You need to know how to glaze properly to do it, but once you know how to glaze, it's pretty easy to do. So I can pick a little bit more orange up now and kind of make slightly more aggressively. Push it in some places like that. Now I'm gonna call it quits on this big brush. Rinse it down. Frozen, how many chances is gonna make it onto Patreon? Oh yeah, man, of course. Every one of these videos goes on Patreon. Now let's take the little brush, grab some yellow and some white again. Okay, and now let's just artificially hype it up. Right there. Any kind of sharp edge, just introduce a little bit of that yellow white. Like that. Get more yellow. Let's make sure our hand has a little bit more of this on it.
Off the edge till the waves come crashing in, and we say our goodbyes to the tides that might have been. When the sky is getting dark and we're
And I'm going to take some more raw yellow, and now I'm going to just kind of resaturate this line with more straight up yellow. Wow, son. Captain Howdy, what's up, brother? Yo, to Bubba, Joe, thank you for the follow, man. So we just, I mean, we still got like 9 minutes left in the show, and we just did it. We did a ground floor paint job in under 3 hours, including a promo section and whip section. We did this guy, we primed this guy with a paintbrush at like 2:15. And this is where we are now. And we're going off of our list, exclamation point content. Someone put that in the chat, exclamation point content, please. Thank you, Chaos Kev. So this document is a big part. We're trying to curate this for 2022. Deep dive on seemingly very basic aspects of mini painting, such as why you select the brush you do for each part of the model. You always seem to use either smaller brush or bigger brushes, for example. So what we did was cross that off the list. We went to a deep dive at the basics, went all the way back to the beginning. Model. Primed it with a paintbrush. This is the paintbrush I use, and this is why. This is how we basically illustrated how all paint does the same thing. You don't need to buy, contrast paint. We basically did a contrast paint job. Showed you how it was tabletop in like no amount of time, and then we used that as our base, as our groundwork, to just spend about another 50 minutes to take her to this stage. I mean, and this is literally just talking and explaining what I'm doing while I'm doing it, doing a whip session. Imagine if I just sat down and did it. How long would this model really take to do like this? Super basics. Meticulous Cast says, I walked away for 10 minutes. You deployed OSL effects. Yes, sir. Susie Bryan, thank you for the bits. Thank you for the follow. Ice God, legend, 33 months. Yeah, the OSL effect, we teach it, I said, in the 201 curriculum. In the 201 curriculum, we focus on glazing and then all the effects. So once you know how to glaze on top of edge highlight, pen wash, airbrush, you can do anything. As long as you know the procedure. And I just showed you the procedure. And I did walk you through glazing at the beginning of this lesson a bunch. So if you can lower the opacity through the induction of moisture and then remove the moisture from your brush, you're glazing. This is a one-stream wizard. A one-stream wizard. That's right, Repray. 6.5 minutes left, guys. If you try to pick up any bonus Yo Dogs, it is Beast Mode Friday, exclamation point 66. Thank you guys for finding value in my content, throwing me a couple of dollars. That's how we keep the lights on in the Beats Lab. Cajun Beauty. Yeah, object source lighting, the OSL effect is basically, all effects are just basically fictions. They are a procedure that tricks you into seeing something that's not there. You know what I'm saying? And there's lots of them, and almost all of them require you to know how to glaze a little bit. And you see, like, you know you did it. You see, if I turn the lights real low, like, the fact that it looks like it's glowing still, but I assure you, it is not. It's literally fucking not. Non-metal metallic. It's not metal. It's not reflecting. This fireball is not glowing. It's just giving the viewer enough cues for your brain to decide it is glowing. And there's a procedure to that. And I showed it to you with fire, right? Which is a little bit more complex because fire is real. It's a little easier when it's magic, like magic yellow or magic green or some shit. But since you know what fire looks like, it's super important to make sure you do it the right way. That's why we made it almost white, brought the yellows back in, maintained that saturation. Because if this yellow and this orange wasn't saturated, you wouldn't buy it.